Hey guys, I'm back again. Today we're going to look at one of my favorite modifications or customizations to the Harbor Freight manual tire changer. So this is a anti-slip mat, and as you can see, the purpose of this is so that when you set your beer on here, it kind of acts as a coaster and it keeps it from sliding around a little bit. No, that's not really what it's for. I'll show you what it's really for. So the purpose of this is because sometimes when you're changing a tire, you're trying to remove the tire or you're trying to install a new one, and this thing just keeps sliding around, sliding back and forth. And it seems like it doesn't matter how much you tighten it down, you can keep tightening it and retightening it, and it just keeps sliding around on there. What I found happening on mine was this little star piece that locks the tire down started to kind of deform. So you can see it's kind of a square in the center instead of a hole. So the idea that I came up with was to place a rubber mat underneath the tire. And that way when you torque it down, put the star ring on it and tighten everything down, it kind of seems to give it a little extra grip and keep that wheel from sliding around. And I'm by no means claiming to be the first person to invent this mod. I'm sure other people, or I know other people, have come up with this exact same idea. And in fact, the new production, current version of the tire changer at Harbor Freight actually has some sort of anti-slip mat on it from the factory. So that's another option, and you might be able to just order that and retrofit it onto an older model as well. But today we're going to make our own. So we're going to be making our mat out of this rubber drawer liner material. Actually, this is not drawer liner. This is Walmart yoga mat material. But I'm convinced that this is the same product that other companies sell as toolbox drawer liner for more money. But it's a good material to use because it's kind of a foam rubber. It has some give to it, and when you press on it, it's grippy. It's going to stick. So before we cut this out, we have to measure the tire changer to see the diameter of that plate with the tire rests on. In my case, mine was 7.5 inches. Yours might be a different size. But the easiest way to draw a circle is to find some other object that is around that same size and then just trace around it. So here I've got a circular saw blade, which is 7.25 inches. So I'm just going to draw around this because it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be exact in size. And if you can't see the mark that you're making with the marker, you can use a silver Sharpie or a paint pen. You could probably just cut directly freehand as well. But I'm going to mark it here because this way I can cut on the outside of the line that I made. And an extra little tip, I'm going to mark the center. And a word on this material, this is going to be what I would call, a consumable product. It's not going to last forever. It's going to wear out, basically. So after you change a set of 4 tires, if you have a couple particularly stubborn ones, the mat's going to tear and you're going to have to make a new one. So there might be other materials that are better. This is what I had on hand the first time when I made one of these. And I've still got some material left over, so that's what I'm using. But you might be able to use a piece of a truck mud flap or a stall liner or a tailgate liner material. Some sort of rubber material that's more durable than this might work better. I don't know if it'll work better because I know this works, but it might be more durable. So we're almost done here. I'm trying to cut on the outside of the line that I drew. And it's not going to be perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. You can just freehand it if you want. All right, so here we're done. So we've got this cut out. So now we need to cut out the center hole. So to get the measurement for that center hole, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do this. You can take this, set it on top here, and then draw underneath it with the Sharpie to mark it. But what I found was easier. So I went into my socket drawer and I found a 29 mil metric socket. that just happens to be slightly smaller than the diameter of this shaft here. So we're going to use this socket as a template. So we're back at the bench, and this is where marking that center hole on here comes into play, because I can just take this socket, line it up over the center mark, and I'm just going to use a knife and just cut directly around that socket. And this should give us a pretty tight fit. So that should be it. And there we go. So now let's go back to the tire changer, and we got to cut out that slot for the lug nut pin. And as you can see, we have a tight fit on there. So what I'm going to use is an arch punch. So arch punch is like a hole punch. So here to mark our locations for that slot, all we have to do is put the punch in the slot here at the front, and we'll just press this down, kind of wiggle it a little bit to make a mark. Then I'm going to move this pin out of the way, go to the back of the slot, and do the same thing. So like I said, if you don't have an arch punch, you can do the same thing with a Sharpie. Just mark that spot where we want to cut it out for that slot. All right, we're back at the workbench again, and we have our 2 indentations that were made by the arch punch. So I'm just going to put this on here, tap it with a hammer. That's going to cut that all the way through. Do the same for the second one. And again, if you don't have an arch punch, just mark it with the Sharpie and just cut it out by hand. It doesn't have to be perfect. So there we've got our 2 holes. So now we just need to connect the lines between the 2 holes. And you could probably do that freehand. We'll just use this as a straight edge. Here's our tire changer. Here is our new anti-slip mat. So this will just slide over here. And we gotta put this in, slide it down, and there you go. And like I said, they don't last. They're gonna wear out and get torn after a while. But just make 2 of them. They only take a few minutes to make. And it's one of the easiest mods to do for this tire changer. And it helps out a lot. So thanks everybody for watching. I'm going to be doing another video on some other tips and tricks that I found for using these tire changers. So hopefully that will be coming out shortly. See you then. Bye.